Yeah, let's get started. Hi, my name is Federico, and for today, by popular demand, we want to make some changes to this sports keychain template. There was a comment here by George asking how to add new sports and different icons to the template. And other people replied, and it sounds like a really good kind of follow-up to this release. So yeah, let's do that. I'm going to start from scratch. So here is the templates page, Cuttle templates page. And so I'm going to open the sports keychain or back tag. And so, the kind of quick overview of how this works, you can type any name here. And then you can choose a sport. And then Toby, who designed this template, has been adding sports this week. Like people requested, I think we started with, okay, they're not in order. So he just added bowling and pickleball and tennis, yeah. And so you can see this shows you a preview of the ball right here, and then the cut file looks like this. You get the 3 layers. This one has the little outlines, and then the ball itself has the section in black would be engraved. So I'm gonna open it in the Cuttle editor by clicking here. And as usual, you get this prompt down here that says copy this project. And so when I copy this project, it's going to create a copy of the project in my personal files that is going to be private. So all these changes are going to save. So I'm going to just change the name right away. I don't know, call it with mods. And so the basic idea here is, let's examine the different components. So you can see that this one has a ton of components. So it has the preview, which is the one that shows with colors. Then it has the cut. This template also has a bulk option where you can type a bunch of names. And then here we see the ball component. And so this is the one that changes every time you select a different sport here. This one should change. And then each different icon or ball, it's a separate component. So you can see, let's make it, you can see each one of them has a separate component. So the idea here is to create an additional component with the kind of additional ball that we want, and then make it work with the with what we have for the template. So let's do that. I'm going to create a new component here. So I'm going to click the plus. And let's start with something simple. Yeah, I'm not gonna name it. So if I look at all the other components, you'll see that they are placed in such a way like to the left of the center, and most of them are sized 1 inch by 1 inch, maybe all of them. Yeah, close enough. So I'm gonna do the same just to keep it consistent. So I'm just gonna sketch out a quick one. So let's pull a circle. I'm gonna place it like that. Let's give it a white fill. I don't think the fill necessarily matters as long as the engraved decoration is on top. And just to keep it simple, I'm gonna grab a star and I'm gonna give it, let's give it a black fill or gray. Gray is fine. And so, I don't know. I'm gonna rename it. Here the name is gonna be a little important. So I'm gonna call it the star ball. By the way, this is using a particular feature that I'm gonna explain towards the end. But for now, let's concentrate on modifying this template. So now that I have the star ball, which is not a great feature of this, a great accomplishment of design, I want that to show up here when I choose it. And so I think the first thing to do is to add it to all the different choices. So to modify the different choices, we can click on the 3 dots here, and then there's an option that says Edit Select Options. So I'm going to click on that. It gives me this window, and here I can type basically anything. So I'm going to type star ball. and then set the options. That only changes the thing that appears here. But as you can see, if I select it, like things kind of break. The cut breaks, these breaks. So that means we need to do a little bit more work before it actually works. So in order to make it work, we'll go to the ball component where whenever we switch it, it changes. And here there is this component called switcher. So if I click on it, you'll see that there is this shape, and this shape is kind of referring us to this other parameter. And so let's show that parameter. And so as you can see here, this parameter has like pairs. So it has a name and a component name. In this case, they're all the same, but like you'll see how they're a little different. So in order to add the one that I just added, I need to add another one to this list. So I'm going to click here, press enter. So here I want to enter the name, like very specifically the way I typed it, that I put on the choice here. So I typed star ball. So I need to type exactly the same. So let's type, maybe I'm in the way. Here, so we have this list. And then I need to type exactly the way I typed it here. So it's going to be star ball. Then I'm just going to follow the formatting that I get here. And then the name I gave my component was also star ball. So, but notice how it doesn't have the space when it appears here. So that's important. So now I can go and choose the star ball. So let's see if that worked. All right, so that worked. So let's go back to the README. And so in a nutshell, that's how it's done. So I can choose any of these and I can do the star ball. But let's do it again with like a little variation, just to kind of reinforce this idea. So I need to create a new component. Here we go. I'm gonna, somebody requested a graduation cap. So I wanna show you how to add like your own SVG. So I'm gonna grab an SVG from the noun project. This is a kind of like, it's a different service. Because I need to make these like so I can show you the noun project. So here in the noun project, I can search for graduation cap. And this is just gonna give me like a basic SVG. So I can choose any of these. I don't know, this one looks good. And I can kind of I can drag it. This one. Yeah, so I can drag that directly into Cuttle. This is not, the noun project is not a Cuttle feature. That's an additional service, but it's just like a quick way of getting an SVG. So now that I have it right here, I can call it the graduation. And I'm just gonna place it again. I wanna make it like 1 inch, so the other, it matches the other thing. So I'm gonna kind of roughly place it on the center. Here we go. But this one is not gonna work just as is, because we need, the structure of most of these balls is that, it has a base. And in order to do that, what I mean by a base is like a sort of backer. So I'm gonna duplicate it, and then I'm gonna expand the bottom one. So I'm just gonna add a simple expand, and let's make these white. Let's get a white fill. And so I'm just gonna, this is kind of unnecessary, but I'm gonna apply the stroke so it's more visible here. So as you can see, I get the cap and I get a thing that surrounds it. So the cap is actually the engraving section, and this is the cutting part. And so now I need to repeat the same steps as for the other one. So I'm gonna try and do it in order. So first I'm gonna add it to the select options. So I'm gonna set the options. Oops, sorry about that. So to edit that, I click here, edit, select options. I'm gonna add it at the bottom. I'm gonna call it the graduation cap. So I set the options. Then I need to go to the ball component, or the one that switches things. And I'm gonna click on the switcher, and I need to change these. I need to add the graduation cap to this list. So I'm gonna add graduation cap. I think that's what I called it. And then notice that I called this component simply graduation. So when I start typing, it appears right there. So it's graduation. And if I go back to the README, I should be able to choose graduation cap. There you go. So same operation. I just grabbed an SVG from elsewhere, and it added it. I'm gonna I have time to do a third one, which adds kind of like an interesting. I should maybe this one. Yeah, I don't like how it's like past this line. Let me see if I can correct that. I'm gonna go back to oh yeah, of course, that's my fault. I think I need to put it, I need to move it, sort of nudge it to the left of the center line. And yeah, that should keep it to the left of the name, literal addition. And let's confirm that this is working, because I get the cut line, which is that expand that I added, and I also get the engraving. Yeah, let's add like an additional one that's like a little bit more complex. So I'm gonna add a new one. I'm gonna call it I want an emoji. Let's see. So I'm gonna I'm gonna call it, if I call it emoji, it's gonna rename it, because emoji is a built-in component, like it appears here. So that's why I called it emoji A. So I'm gonna call it, my emoji. So I'm gonna grab the emoji, put it here. I'm not gonna change the size yet. I'm gonna kind of do the same operation I did before with the graduation cap. Like I want to expand it, but I want every time I change the emoji, I want it to apply to both. What I mean by that is I'm gonna take the emoji selection option here and extract it as a parameter. And then I'm going to take that parameter and move it to the project. And I don't know, let's move it up here below the sport. Hope that makes sense. So now every time I change these, it should change that one. So I'm going to duplicate this one. And then I'm going to expand the bottom one. So I'm going to apply the modify, expand. Let's make it white. And then let's give it the stroke. The stroke is just to be able to see. And so as you can see, I get the basic, the base emoji here. Let's make it black. And then I get the expand around it, which is going to be the cut line. But as you can see, the expand doesn't get rid of the holes, of the internal holes. So in order to deal with those, I'm going to apply the remove holes modifier. So that gives me like a plain single cut. And so let's confirm that it's working. If I were to choose a star, then the expand shows the star. And then I'm just trying to find emoji that are not circular. So yeah, there we go. So that works. And then I think the size is about right. Let's try a face. Yeah. Yeah, that seems to work. Maybe I'll nudge it a little bit to the left. All right, cool. So now I want to repeat the same operations to add it to the selection. I guess this one adds a little funny complexity because I get the selection plus I get the selection of the emoji, but let's just go with it. So I'm going to add it again to the selection. So click on the three dots, edit select options. Let's put it at the bottom. So I'm going to call it emoji or choose emoji. Yeah, choose emoji. then set the options, and then I need to apply that to the ball component, which is over here. So I'm gonna go to that list again. Let's make it. So I'm gonna go to this list again, and excuse me. And I need to be specific now that I use. Okay, so for the name, which is the one that appears in the selection, I wrote choose emoji. And then for the component name, I called it my emoji, which appears right there. So I can click on it. And now let's see if it works. Let's confirm that it works. All right, so I need to choose the choose emoji. So then the emoji appears, and then whatever emoji I choose, ooh, devil, that looks cool. So those were the 3 examples on how to add an additional. The poop emoji would be probably popular with a certain age bracket. So those were the 3 examples. We added just a ball that we constructed inside of Cuttle. Then we added a separate SVG, a different SVG with the graduation cap. And then we added the emoji with the chooser. So anyway, I hope that answers the question. But to finish things off, I actually want to explain more in detail how to use this choosing option, because that just got added to Cuttle, and I think it's a very useful feature for constructing your own templates. So what I mean by that is, the way we were able to select this switcher situation here on the ball. So in order to do that, I'm gonna create a template from scratch. So let's do that. Let's go to Cuttle. Or I'm gonna create a project from scratch. So I'm gonna create a new blank project, and I'm gonna call it the switcher wand example. So here's the idea that I have. I want to make it like way simpler just to be able to explain it. So I think I want like a wand. So I'm just gonna make the sort of stick for the wand, and I want to be able to choose like different options for what goes on the tip. So for these, I'm just gonna make, I don't know, something like 6 inches wide. Long. Move it down here. So this is my idea. I have a wand, something like this, and then I want to be able to say put a star on it, or I want to be able to say put like a heart on it, on the tip of the wand, and then I want to be able to have an option to choose between those different ones. So the way in which I want to like sort of prototype it is like these. So for example, let's say I want a star, but that star is not the right size. So I want to make it a little bigger, like 1.5. And then maybe I don't want if I want to give this to a kid, I don't want the star to be too pointy. So let's add some rounded corners. And so I kind of applied some modifications to the star. And so I want that star to be a separate component. Following the structure of the ball, that this should be a separate component. So I'm gonna right-click on it, and there's an option here that says extract as component. So that creates a new component here on the left, and then to be consistent, I'm gonna call it the tip A. So that's one tip option. So I can actually delete it here because now I can bring it back whenever I want it. And notice that it has all those modifications I made to it. It has the scaling, it has the rounded corners. Let's say I want another tip. So I'm gonna say, let's say like a polygon with 8 sides. I don't know, it's like a sort of jeweled tip or something like that. Let's make it a little bigger. So that's going to be another option. And so that's going to I'm going to create it, make it into another component. Another way to make it into a component is to right click here and extract it. So now I have another component here on the right, and I'm going to call that component tip B. So I can delete it from here. And then let's do a third one, like a heart. So I'm going to bring the heart shape here. And let's make it a little bigger. And perhaps you can make the heart a little bit more plumpy. Look at this, some plumpiness. You know. No, actually, I don't want tilt. I'm gonna revert that to the default. Okay, so now I have the heart, and so I'm gonna extract that one as a component. Extract as component, and I'm gonna call that one tip C. Okay, so now I have 3 tips, and I need to create a separate component that is the sort of selector, because the idea is, yeah, so let's create it. I'm gonna create a new component. I'm gonna call that the selector, the switch, or the tip options. So the idea is that with these tip options, any of these 3 tips would be present there. So here's where we're going to use the new kind of built-in component. So if I go to search and search for switcher, there is one here in advanced called switcher. So I'm going to place it right here like any other component, and it looks like a star at first because it says star on the options, on the switcher options. So look at this here, right here on the shape, it says star. So here it is pulling from the default kind of star component. So that one, which means I could actually type any of the default ones here. I could say polygon, and it switches to a polygon. But similarly, I could type any of the ones I created, and it should switch to that one. So if I type tip A, it should switch to the star that I created with the specific scaling and the specific rounding. And so similarly, it should do a tip B and a tip C and so on. So now the thing, I mean, so this already gives us some power in like, by writing the component name here, then we can like switch it to whatever we want. So I'm gonna add it to my wand by adding the tip options component right here. But that doesn't yet give me the nice kind of user interface for the switching. And so for that, I need to go here and create a new parameter. And so that just gives me a default parameter. I'm going to rename it. I'm going to call it the wand tip. And I need to change this type of parameter to select. And here is where I can type the different options. So it would be a little sad to type tip A or tip B and tip C because that's not descriptive. So I'm actually going to type the description. So I'm going to type star and then enter. Each option should be in a new line. Then I'm going to call the other one octagon. And then the last one heart. Right now, this takes a little bit of work, but once it's working, it should be kind of nice. So now here we go back to the tip options component, and here is where we need to type a sort of slightly funny, complicated expression, but it should make sense. So the expression is something like this. We have brackets, and then we need to connect it to this wand tip parameter. So basically, the idea is that whatever I type here, it's what the wand tip becomes. So I think I can type tip A. No, sorry. I need to link this one to the name and component pair. So the name should be, so we know that this one tip is this one tip, which is the shape. And then the name should be the name that I type here. So let's say star. And I need to type it exactly the way I typed it. So uppercase. And then I need to connect that to tip A. And let's see, this should work. Okay, cool. So then I just need to add the others to the list. So now I can add the second one was, what did I call it? Octagon. Octagon, and that is linked to tip B. And then the next one should be heart, and that is connected to tip C. Did I get it right? Okay, so if I choose the octagon, the heart, or the star, that works. And that should also change it here on the, I suppose this would be either Boolean union. Let's see, Boolean union. So this is the thing I would be cutting. The heart looks a little funny. Yeah, that makes a decent, actually, sorry. Well done score. So I'm gonna change it to well done score. Modify and well done score. Yeah, I think this is cool. So it creates a quick wand where you get to choose the different tips. And then I think the score just makes it a little bit more readable. So we could add that to the README. So I'm gonna create that component A. Maybe I could call it wand. README. And then for the wand tip, I could add a comment, say choose the tip for your, add a comment. So that's it. That's the quick explanation on how to use the switcher. We'll probably have more documentation, but with these, you can already kind of build it into your projects. So I can choose the octagon, the star, and of course, like the same way we did at the beginning. You know, as people, as you come up with more ideas, or people request different tips for the wand, you can add it. And so we can add it by creating, say, you know, a new component. We can call it the tip D. And then let's say you want like a burst. So I'm just gonna do a star with like maybe the rounded corners again. So it's not so rounded, so it still kind of looks like a burst, but like doesn't poke people's eyes. So now that I have the tip D, I'm gonna kind of repeat the same operation. I wanna add the burst to my select options. So I can click here, edit, select options. I'm gonna call it the burst, set the options. Then I need to add it to the tip options component by clicking on the switcher, and adding the additional option. Notice it's separated by a comma. I'm gonna call it the burst, and then tip D. I was being very specific about, you know, naming the, you know, changing the way in which these refers to the text right here, but then these refers to the component name. There is no real reason why they couldn't be the same, but I didn't want to make it like too confusing. So now that I added the burst, let's confirm that it's working. So the burst, yeah, cool. So now you can see that pattern existing on the sports keychain. We have the same kind of situation. We have the ball is where the switcher is been added. This one is just, you know, is referring this shape, which is the switcher, to this parameter here called geometry. But then you can see the same list. What I just mentioned is that, you know, the list here, this name refers to the name that appears on the selection. So that right there. And then these refers to the component name. It's right there. Oh, I'm in the way, but you get the idea. So Cool. So I hope this makes it, thank you. Thank you for your comments. I hope this now makes it really easy to add this kind of switching behavior to your templates. I think it's super useful. It's already being used in a bunch of other templates. I think I might publish this switcher example template just so you can kind of refer to it. And cool, that was half an hour. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you for all your comments and all the suggestions. Please keep them coming. I will see you in the next one. Okay, bye.